In this Photoshop tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the zombie face, which you've got in front of you there. It's going to be quite a detailed tutorial, so it will probably take quite a while. There's a few techniques that we've used here. Basically, well, for the most part, it's just using a layer mask to blend a couple of images. So there's an image of a man, which forms the base of the whole project. There's a skull, which I've used to sort of get this this nose and the teeth and sort of a few like cheekbones and jawbones in here. And then I've just done some colorization on the eyes using hue and saturation, and I've used some blood brushes down here and change the blending mode of them to sort of make them blend with the teeth. Okay, so we'll go through, we'll start on this project. Okay, so there's the file. I'm going to jump over here to the basic image of the man. So this is the image we're starting with. I'll put the two image files which I use in this project in the, I'll put a link to them in the description of this video on YouTube. The other image is this skull here. Both of these are free stock images, so I can give them away to you with no worries. They're in public domain. Okay, so first thing we want to do is we are going to desaturate this image here. Might just make a duplicate of it to start off with, which is Control J, or you can right mouse button and go duplicate layer. Just so I've got a copy of the man in colour. It's always good to keep your original image in case you want to do something else with it. Okay. So let's desaturate. So click on layer 1, go image, adjustments, and desaturate to get a black and white image. Now I've decided to go black and white in this project because I think it works well with the colour here. It's sort of it's what makes the red look quite effective. Okay. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the eyes actually. So we'll start off with the eyes. So what we want to do is we just basically want to draw a selection around each of those eyeballs, and then we'll use that to make a layer mask. So I'll actually, you could do this a range of ways, but I'm just going to draw a selection right around his eyeballs using the sort of elliptical marquee tool. So get the eye there. I want to hold down Shift and do the second one. And then we can move it. Oh no, because it's going to move them together. Oh, that just works. I was a bit lucky there. Oh no, does it? Yeah, it works okay. Okay. Oh no, I'm going to have another go at that actually. So you could select these using any one of the selection tools. Basically, I'm just trying to isolate his eyes, and normally if you just do one at a time, you don't have to be quite so accurate. You can drag it around. Alright, there we go. So I've got the centre of the eyes selected. I'm going to use layer mask, and I'm just going to, oh yeah, because we don't have a copy of the image in the background. Sloppy. Let's put that in the background and turn that one on and just desaturate that. Okay, so now anything we do here is just going to affect the unmasked area, which will be the eyeballs. Okay, so we're going to click here. So see what I've done is I've applied a layer mask, so it masks out the rest of the image and it will only show me the eyeballs. So anything I apply to this image here will only show on just the eyes. So to get this eyeball effect over here, basically I've used the hue and saturation in Colorize. So what you do is you go image, adjustments, and hue and saturation, then click the Colorize box. Okay, so because my layer mask is applied, it's only affecting the eyeballs. Now we can crank up the saturation a bit. You've got that nice evil looking red eyes going on. Cool, that's pretty good. See down the bottom of the mask here, that's a little bit sloppy, so we want to tidy that up. We can just paint with our paint in our layer mask a little bit. Oops, need to on the actual layer mask. There you go. Cool, so there's some scary looking red eyes. Okay, the next one we need to do is we need to jump over here and grab this skull. I'm just going to draw a mark here around it and drag it into the other documents and dump it on top there. Now, positioning is quite important for this technique to work well. So a good way to position your image is actually change your opacity down a little bit, so you can see both images. And so then we can drag. Now I've already, that image was already scaled to the right size to get it to fit, so that works pretty well. But if you don't have the image the right size, you're just going to go Control T and you're going to scale it. But because that was actually the image that I just copied that image off the original project, it was already the right size, so that sort of saved me a step there. But if you're using a different scale, or if you don't use my project files for this project, you might need to scale the image. Just as a side point, if you're using completely different images for the same, for a similar project like this, you want faces and skulls that are nicely symmetric. It actually makes it much easier if you've got the face facing on straight angles, or if the skull's not perfectly straight. It makes this project a lot more difficult to pull off. Okay, so we've got cheeks. Look at that, this chin there. I want that to line up, so that's pretty good there. No, those eyes are off a bit. Put that in front. I actually have to scale it down a little bit. Yeah, it's pretty good. So just spend a bit of time trying to get it, the skull image to line up with your original image. Cool. Okay, so let's bring that back up to 100%, and I'm going to do a layer mask and just start masking out this image. So I'm just going to click on the layer and click the layer mask button, and we want to fill everything with black that we don't want to keep. So what we'll do is might just use quick select to select the skull. Should be on that skull layer. Control D if you muck it up like I just did. It was on the layer mask instead of on the skull. Well, it seems to be equally as frustrating on that. I'm not convinced that I'm using the most efficient tool to select here, but I'll persevere. Not going to be using too much of that up there, so that's fine. You could also use the magic wand tool for this project and play with your tolerance, but just using the quick select tool. Okay. It's pretty good. Okay, great. Okay, so we've got a fairly accurate selection there. Select inverse and just fill this with black. Fill the image instead of the layer mask. There we go. So make sure you click on the layer mask now to apply your fill. Cool, so that's masked out the rest of the image with black, and now we can do some interesting stuff there. Okay. So now we need to decide what we want to keep of this skull image, and basically the rules here are you're going to paint with black to get rid of the stuff that you don't want. So I'm just going to grab a paintbrush, set my foreground colour to black, and we're going to go through, I'm dropping the opacity and the flow of my brush a bit, and this just gives us a much more forgiving tooltip to work with. Okay, so let's see, I want to get rid of some of this image over here. I'm just going to brush it in a bit. I quite like the way the jewel looks pretty good along there. Yeah, bring it up a bit here. Cool. I'm going to get rid of all this up here. It doesn't work very well. I want them to have the same hairline. Although the texture on his up there is quite nice. So what you really don't want is these lines. They look quite unnatural, so you need to get to those as well. Not that anything on a zombie is going to look particularly natural, but looks shoddy if you have obvious lines on a Photoshop project. Now, because we're using a layer mask here, it's real easy if I get a bit carried away and rub out something I didn't want to rub out. I can always go back and change my colour back to white and sort of re-add it again. So the original skull image is still sitting there. We're just basically deciding what we want to keep and what we get rid of. It's definitely a bit of sort of artistic skill here with your blending. Just trying to get his hairline back in. Avoid any obvious lines. Okay, the hairline looks pretty good. And we definitely want his eyes, so we need to do some work down there. There we go. Those nice bushy eyebrows back in. I think I'm going to get rid of those up there. Depending on what image you use, you can choose to keep different parts of the skull. We want him to look like his skin's sort of sucked back into, and sticking, parts of his skull are sticking out. Okay, that looks pretty good. Cool. Okay, just need to nudge it over a little bit. Okay, that's pretty happy with that. Okay, I'll just jump back over my original project. Yeah, I think I definitely got rid of quite a bit more of that, but I think those underneath his eyes there actually look quite cool, having a bit more of the skull showing, so I'm going to leave that in this one. Okay, that's pretty good. So obviously you just you can zoom in and just make sure you don't have any obvious lines where it's sort of going between two. So look, there's something a bit sloppy there. Doesn't look very good. When you zoom in like this, you can see sort of how rough some of my Photoshop work's been here. What did we do over on this one? I think I went in quite a bit closer. You get rid of some of that. Show his original skin. Okay. Right, so you get the idea of how that effect works. Right, let's do the blood. Now, for the blood that's coming off the mouth, I've actually got some blood Photoshop brushes. All I did was Googled free blood Photoshop brush and found quite a few. If you don't know how to load Photoshop brushes, you click on your brush tool and you go up here into your brush panel, and you can click that little cog up the top right there and go load brushes. And I'll just chuck some blood brushes onto my desktop there, it's a good idea to build up a heap of brushes if you can work in Photoshop, because they're quite handy. So here's so it's loaded these blood splatter brushes in here. So we're just going to make a new layer for them, which I'm going to put them on, and I'm going to set my colour to sort of darker. I think I must have done that already, so there we go, quite a darker sort of blood colour. And you use the square brackets on the keyboard to change the size. So I want to sort of get some all over his teeth here. Right, let's go for it. Actually, because I've got my brush tip set with opacity, might bring that up again for this. Now this is going to look a bit rough, but that's okay at this point. So the job here is just to sort of get blood over the places you want the blood to be. You don't need to worry too much about what it looks like. I'm actually going to change the blending mode of this layer to make it blend better. So we want it to look like he's sort of, actually I don't do too much of that, to look like this sort of blood all over these teeth. Okay, that looks pretty rough, doesn't look that great yet. Okay, so now hopefully you follow my instruction to do the blood on its own layer. Now we can click the blending mode. Now there's quite a few blending modes you can use here, but for blood overlay looks fantastic. So set your blending mode for that layer that you've just drawn your blood on to overlay, and there we go, that looks great. It looks like sort of dried sticky blood there, and you can just do a bit of darker blood on there as well, maybe. Play around with it, look at what's smudgy looking. You could actually use the smudge tool as well if you just sort of blue around a little bit some of these teeth, but I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, so you could go around and spend a bit of time. See, that's a little bit messy because I'm obviously doing this live in this video. So if some of these things we could spend a bit of time tidying up. If I was trying to get a quality final product here. Oops, back our brush tool, need to drop our settings back down, that's my painting settings, and use the square tool, accidentally pressed the P there. Black to get rid of. Oh, of course. Make sure you're on the right layer. There we go. Okay, we're on the layer mask and we're blacking out this. There we go, just get rid of some of these lines. Okay, cool. It's really a bit of artistic sort of skill there to sort of look where it blends. Okay, I think that looks pretty effective. Okay, so there's my final image, and there's my original project file right there. Cool. Okay, so remember I'll put the resource files in the description of this video. Thanks for watching.